Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Abhishek Somani and Siddhartha Talwar. As we witness rapid urbanization and technological advancements, the architectural landscape in India is evolving in exciting ways. Architects and designers, they are increasingly exploring innovative materials that not only enhance aesthetic appeal, but also improve sustainability, durability, and functionality. The integration of new materials is transforming how we approach design and construction. This shift not only reflects a commitment to sustainable practices, but also addresses the unique challenges posed by India's diverse climate and socio-economic conditions. And to discuss this, we have with us today Abhishek Somani, MD and CEO, Somani Ceramics, and Siddhartha Talwar, Principal Architect and co-founder, Studio Lotus. Gentlemen, we are talking about sustainability, we are talking about durability and functionality, but we are also talking about, innovative materials. My first question to you, Siddharth, is how do you see the role of these new materials in transforming architectural design principles, especially in the Indian context?
Thank you. So, broadly, the construction industry, it kind of takes care of a huge toll on the carbon footprint, I would say, on carbon emissions as a benchmark. I think it is amounting to almost 40% of carbon emissions onto the construction industry. So that's a sign. Whereas us as architects or developers, everyone involved into this construction boom, as you were talking about, we are responsible to ensure how do we mitigate this and how do we see it long term. I think particular to your question in terms of new materials, it definitely plays a role because more and more India is looking at a massive scale. India is looking at large construction work. So in terms of scalability, flexibility, in terms of high rises, in terms of just the sheer volume of work, I think the materials needs a generational shift. As practice, we as architects, materials come pretty much later in terms of whether it's tendering or specifying or doing anything with the project. Material takes a hit and everything goes for a toss when it comes to defining the materials in the correct way. I think it's high time materials, especially new age materials, probably precast or metal or even as cladding services, we need to really zoom out and really think at a very large level how to take care of this. I think that would be, these are the aspects to be taken care in future.
We are talking about the new materials here, but what about the traditional surface materials like, say, for example, marble and granite, and also then the artificial stones and, new age tile slabs impacting the overall architectural landscape? What is your thought on that?
Thank you very much for having me, first of all. And like Siddharth said, I think a lot of what has to take a transformational change is on the material, is from a point of view of weight, from the point of view of how quick you can deliver a particular building today with the kind of competition which is there. The only way a builder can earn really good money is how quickly he can churn, how quickly he can make the apartment, sell it. So that's one part of it, and that's where I think our products come into play. You take any traditional material, marble, granite, etc. There is a process of bringing it in, cutting it, polishing it, laying it, etc. Here, the products come in pre-cut, pre-polished, pre-finished. So it's a question of how quickly you can apply the material. Secondly, it's a question of what the weight of the material is. So our products range from between 6 millimeters upwards of 20, but it peaks out at 20. 99% of the tiles are between the 9 and 12 millimeter range, whereas a stone would start at about 20, 25 and go up to 30, maybe 40 millimeters. So it's also a question of weight. That's one part. The other part is It's not available anymore. It's scarce. It's a finite material. Unlike our product, any natural stone, any natural product would be finite. It's mined. So from that point of view, again, that's a challenge of getting good quality material. Whatever is available is not of fantastic quality. So for example, classic example is a Makrana white. Our Indian, good old Indian material, probably Siddhartha would agree with me, probably one of the best marbles in the world, is just not available. You may pay big bucks, but it's not available. What is really good is so out of budget for any class of people. That's when other transformational material come in. And amongst a lot of other material which are there, I think we're one of them, where it clearly has moved leaps and bounds in terms of sizes, in terms of finishes, where we are now mimicking all kinds of stones, fabrics, etc., and giving architects a lot of flexibility and a lot of consistency to finish their beautiful homes, or office spaces, or whatever they're designing.
Absolutely, and there is a larger discourse around sustainability as well. And we have been hearing about these on international forums, governments talking about it. What I want to understand from you is, how is sustainability playing its role in material selection now?
Actually, a very pertinent question, somewhat related to our work also. We look at materials with low carbon footprint and low embodied energy. So we feel as much as material, if possible, can be locally sourced. That's been one of the parameters when you come at the SDG goals also. Of course, it can't really happen in all the projects, and to what Abhishek mentioned, we have projects of a very different scale, but at least in smaller projects, I think the way forward should be to really locally source the material. What does it mean? Materials which are available in 15 to 30 kilometer radius, that is what is a good practice, so that the amount of cost in transportation is just spikes up the carbon embodied energy. So there are projects where you can do, and India has abundant materials. When you also mentioned about natural materials, India has abundance of materials. So whether it is stone you are in, and I still feel whether it is an old material which is still there like a brick or a stone, or whether these are the new advancement of materials such as tiles and all, I feel how you can really integrate that material into your architecture by really working with solar shading, by working with devices which can cut the sun and allow the light. I think it can, and we've seen it worldwide, it can still give very dramatic solutions to really like very bespoke different architecture. So I'm not saying that just because you have to follow the old material, it will become a very old vernacular kind of architecture. I think a very modern, contemporary, crisp architecture can be created, even using the wisdoms of these climatic zones and the kind of materials, whether new age or old age, we can mix it. I think there is still a huge amount of possibility going forward.
All right, before we let you go, my final question to both of you. What advice would you give to young architects in India, especially about experimenting with new materials, also at the same time staying true to the local context? Starting with you.
Starting with him.
So as I just mentioned, I think the way the Indian education is probably, especially in architecture, if you're asking me as an architect, I think there is no focus on materials. I think that comes last. There is not a lot of practicing architects which are involved in the education sector, academics. And even when we come out as young architects, I think there should be a lot of forum and engagements where the exposure to the materials can happen. I struggle even in office where I need to really, and you are part of this, I really need to ensure that this young generation, young architects should get exposed to the kind of material which are on offer. So I think it depends us as practicing architects and even working with building industry, how to ensure that a lot of this wisdom goes to these young architects. They can really pick it up. I think some are already doing it, but some should do it by really ensuring all these engagements keep on happening and they get exposed to the kind of possibilities of material which are there in the market now.
For us, I think it's the advice is use material made in India. The more you use it, the more industry will grow, the more industry will become more competitive. So we are a big believer. I think a lot of brands have tried to take a dig on Made in India, but we're probably one of the only brands which have been around for 53 years now, and we've been 100% made in India. In fact, our latest range, which is a range called Colorado, we've taken inspiration from all the colors of Colorado are inspirations from large buildings, historical buildings, namely from Jodhpur, from Jaipur, from parts of South India, temples, palaces, etc. So we're a large believer in Made in India, and my advice would be, as much as Made in India one can do, if it's available in India, a product is available in India, please use Indian material, nothing but Indian material, whatever that may be.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Abhishek Somani and Siddhartha Talwar. Thank you for this fabulous conversation, and thank you for being a part of the NDTV Real Estate Conclave.